Hi, friends. It's June the 19th, 2024, and we're going to talk about if you have COVID, and by now it's probably turned to long COVID, or they have different words for it, but will it ever go away? Will the symptoms ever go away? Let's go over the symptoms, okay? This is Jim Wortham. The reason I'm doing this is because I did one or two on COVID a long time ago, and a lot of people responded to it. So I want to give an update. I got COVID probably in the very early beginning. Let me explain that this was a time when people were dying in New York and they didn't have hospital beds for them, and all this was going on. Well, I went into King's Daughters Hospital here in my town, and I went into the outpatient doctor's office. I had no idea I had COVID until I walked in and he went down a list of symptoms. And he took me to an isolation room. Told nobody to go in there without a protective suit. And I was there for 4 hours. They didn't know what to do with me. I was the first person that had walked into the hospital with COVID. And they were calling around, finding out what pills, what drugs, what shots to give me and all that. And in the meantime, the doctor comes in with something very much looks like a spacesuit. It looked like it had air tanks in the back. Then they brought the x-ray over from the hospital side to the isolation room where I was. And of course she was all dressed up with protective clothing, and I'm just sitting there for 3 hours, 3.5, and getting toward 4 hours, I step out of the room and I say, has my undertaker come yet? Has my undertaker come yet? Well, a couple of people snickered at it. I thought it was funnier than they did. So we're going back a few years here, but I need to tell you I've had it 3 times, COVID. Having said that, I've been vaccinated every time they had a vaccination. For an update, let's talk about this. I wrote this down, the symptoms, because there were so many. So I'll be looking toward this paperwork here. If anyone listening to this hears something that they experience, you and I are on the same page. One of the reasons I haven't been doing regular YouTubes is because of fatigue, being extremely tired, not being able to focus or keep my mind focused on what I would want to say. So that's sometimes called brain fog, FOG, where your memory shuts down. You're in the middle of saying a sentence or explaining something, and your mind goes blank. Or You're concentrating real well, and then all of a sudden you forgot where you're going with it. Had a little stomach issues, off and on, off and on, off and on, and no dizziness. Some people's going to have dizziness. Now, I'll be explaining things I don't have, just so if you have it, you won't feel um, that you've been forgotten. Heart palpitations. Since I have high blood pressure and irregular heartbeat, this is very difficult for me to figure out if I had it before or if it's increased in intensity. Because I was diagnosed and thrown 2 pills a day for it, and most of the time I try to remember to take the 2 pills. If not, I try to take 1 pill. Sometimes I forget to take both pills a day. Loss of smell or taste, that hasn't hit me too bad. But for a lot of people, they've lost their smell, they've lost their taste. Now, thirst. I've been thirsty quite a bit. Every day. I don't always drink water. I drink liquids. Cokes, Diet Cokes. I try to stay away from caffeine. You don't want to take caffeine either. I read that earlier, and here I drank caffeine Diet Cokes. Chronic cough comes and goes. Now, I need to share this with you. These symptoms may come and go, and then come back with greater intensity. So don't be surprised if you think you're over with something and then all of a sudden you have it again, and you start to go to the doctor saying, "Hey, I have a new thing that needs to be treated." Well, it's an old thing that needs to be treated. That's going to hang out with you maybe all your life. I haven't told you that this could last indefinitely through to the very last day you're living. You're not going to read that, but I do research on this quite a bit. Some people will never go back to work. Some people will never get back to normal. So do we talk about the chronic cough? This is funny. I didn't have a chronic cough until, I would say, the last month. And then I was misdiagnosed where I years ago where I needed inhalers. So I go and get inhalers that I hadn't thrown away. I actually woke up not able to breathe, and I was scared to go back to sleep or try to sleep for fear I wouldn't wake up, that I'd stop breathing. Then I realized I had kept one of those fast-acting inhalers, and went and used it, took 2 puffs, and I was able to sleep the rest of the night. Do I need to tell you, if you use inhalers, rinse your mouth out real good after the last puff, or else it can bring a rash inside your cheeks. Chest pain. Lord have mercy. Yes and no, up and down, all around. let's go to now. I have not, as far as I know, had what's called abnormal movements, except on 2 occasions I reached for the door. Now it's about a month apart. I'm walking okay. I reach to open the house door coming into the house, and I collapse. No warning. No warning. A month after that, I'm going to the refrigerator, and I reach for the door, and I collapse. Didn't even get the refrigerator open that moment, of course. We should call that abnormal movements. I think so. Headaches. I've had so many headaches. I thought it was normal. When I say I thought it was normal, what I mean is that I thought, well, I've stayed up too late or reading too much. But no, headaches are a big part of this. COVID. We've already talked about problems with memory, problems with concentration, and forgetfulness. And oh my, forgetfulness is getting even worse. Because when I get off this video, I'll think about 20 things I aim to have talked about or added to it, and realize I forgot it or I didn't write it down. Worse than that, sometimes when I review a video I do, I notice I've said things incorrectly. So problems with the memory. We'll put it under that category. And problems with concentration and focus. Now, we talked about that earlier, I know, but I had it written down. It occurs so much, I wrote it down twice. Dizziness. I don't think I've been dizzy, but if you have, this is part of it. Joint pain and muscle aches. Well, I tell you what, that does occur now too, with no warning, with no reason. I will say this, we got I pick up things that weigh, not very often, that weigh 40 pounds, like a sack of salt to put into the water softener. By the time I pick it up, take it from the garage to the basement, I've already stopped several times to put it down. Then I cut it open. You got to realize I'm changing hands too with the handle. It's a plastic bag with a handle. And then I cut it open to pour it into the water softener. Of course, I have to bend over to do that. And by the time that's done, I know it when I get ready to go to sleep. Now, if you hear that phone ringing, it's a salesman trying to sell me a casket or a funeral stay. If I die, it'll pay for my funeral. That's what those phone calls at this time are coming in. They got me on a COVID list. The long COVID list. The one that doesn't get any better. I just said that because you may have heard that phone over there ring. Um, Symptoms may change, and I'm noticing that, or they may get worse over time, or they may never go away. Um, when I say they may change or get worse over time, I mean there could be new symptoms arrive, not just the same old ones coming back with more intensity, although that can happen too, and probably will. Okay, here's one for me. Feel unenergized and weary. No energy. No energy. Now here's something that is striking that I haven't mentioned, and I bet you haven't been told this. Two of the most you hear breathing and tiredness being two of the top symptoms, but along with that, for some people, is depression and anxiety. And both of those could be, for many different reasons, also in intensity. Like, how are you going to pay your bills? Are you ever going to work again? How come I can't get on disability? Well, I'll tell you why you can't get on disability. There's not a diagnosis for this. At least that I've read so far, there's no diagnosis code. Therefore, you try filling out a long-term disability with Social Security and not have a diagnosis and see how far you get. Now, it's possible that they could zero in on some enough symptoms, like back pain, like any of these, if they're bad enough. A cluster could possibly be considered a cause for being able to get on disability. Now, here's one that has been very important for me, and it is not being able to walk without help. And by help, I mean handrails or a cane. I don't have a walker, and I don't have a scooter. But I'll grab onto things while I walk, especially up and down the stairs. So there's the basement, there's the garage, both of them have stairs. Then there's going upstairs to where my bedroom is. Looking for things to grab. I've had one person put in some railings for me. That's helped a lot. Another thing, have you noticed that you're not able to walk very far? I used to walk an hour for exercise. I used to belong to gyms when I was, doesn't seem like it was that many years ago. I always belonged to a gym, worked out, sometimes went swimming. Then I went back to school to get licensed to work in the psychology, mental health, and drug and alcohol field. And when I did, I dropped the gyms and all that. So, but I walked an hour a day, even if it was sprinkling. Now, if I can walk halfway down the street, I'll say, I better turn around and go back. I'm not going to make it all the way down the street. So let's see if there's anything else that I have. For some of you, you're going to have hair loss. As you can tell with me, I have a... That's not hit me yet. Pain, this just started. Pain in the upper and lower part of the back. Especially when I pick up things like salt to take to the water softener machine. Yes, this is new. This is new. Trouble with coordination as I walk. When I walk, trouble with going back and forth. To the point where I wonder what's happening. Is something getting ready to be worse than I think? One that I've had possibly all my life, but has greatly increased. I went one night, I remember, without sleeping. A lot of times I don't go to sleep till 2, 3, 4 o'clock, occasionally 5 or 6. And then I don't want to get up. But I get up by 11:30 at the latest. Another problem will be, for some of you, earaches. Yes. I will be. I got dinner call. There's earaches, hearing things noises that aren't there. All of a sudden you hear crickets or think you hear an airplane outside when you're trying to sleep. There's a word for that. It starts with a T, but I can't pronounce it. For some of you, there's going to be a loss of appetite. And here's the deal here. I need to update this for you since I'm on the long haul. And since I was probably in the beginning stages, and I'm at whatever stage several years later would be. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I got 38 subscribers now. If you're one of them, thank you for being a subscriber. And I hope you have a great rest of the week. Take care now. God bless.